I'm Jack O'Brien, your host on this video visit to the French Quarter of New Orleans, Louisiana, one of the most exciting cities in the world. And we're going to be seeing the highlights today, all the way from the St. Louis Cathedral to the buggy rides around the French Quarter, on this video visit to the French Quarter in New Orleans, Louisiana.
This is the statue of Andrew Jackson, hero of the Battle of New Orleans and the man after which this square was named. Jackson Square is the hub of the French Quarter, and there's always something happening here. For example, may I proudly present the fabulous Fumble Brothers, jugglers extraordinaire. Whoops. I'll get discouraged. Let me get the intro again here. Ladies and gentlemen, the fabulous Fumble Brothers. All right, guys. So, last time, gang. Ladies and gentlemen, the extraordinary talents of the Fumble Brothers. Right, they're doing it. Uh-oh. Well, at least now we know how they got their names. How about having a portrait done? There are a number of artists around the square, and some of them are very, very good. In my opinion, Mary Jo is one of the best. Right across the street from Jackson Square is the Café du Monde, famous for French coffee and beignets. A beignet is a tasty little donut covered with white sugar, guaranteed to turn your face in the front of whatever you're wearing white. There's no way you can escape. It also gets all over your hands, and the wrought iron furniture lets it cover the ground like snow. A beignet starts as a little square of dough, cut by a machine, and then is picked up and unceremoniously dumped into a deep fat fryer, where it floats and bloats. The more he stirs, the bigger the beignets get. You guessed it, they're full of air, but they are good. When they get golden brown, they're dumped into the box where the waiting waiters can't wait to snap them up, sugar them with the semi-automatic sugarer, and whisk them off to the waiting patrons out front. Coffee and beignets, a New Orleans tradition, available 24 hours a day at the Café du Monde. Just behind the Café du Monde is the Moonwalk, not named after the moon, but after New Orleans Mayor Moon Landreau, in whose administration it was constructed. Speaking of construction, there's an old-looking building across the Mississippi, and it's really kind of new. It's the Algiers Landing Restaurant, built a couple of years ago and designed and made to look old. As a quick change of pace, here's one of our prettier visitors afflicted with the dreaded itchy nose as a result of drinking our water, which incidentally comes from the Mississippi River, and that should tell you something. Another pretty girl sits in the same spot all the time, and people take her picture. And sometimes, just sometimes, they sit down on her. I don't know why, but they do. And sometimes we catch them doing it, and they're embarrassed, so they run away. Her father, who's down the way a piece, doesn't have that problem, but he is on his feet all day.
No trip to New Orleans would be complete without a cruise down the river on the Creole Queen. The Queen is an award-winning authentic paddlewheeler that makes 2 3-hour trips a day downriver, at 10 and again at 2, and a romantic evening cruise with a buffet and a jazz band. It's kind of exciting to be on board a paddlewheeler and know that at one time hundreds of these boats used to travel up and down the Mississippi with goods and passengers. There are only a handful left, and for a very nominal fee, you can rest, relax, and travel back in time for a little while as the paddlewheeler takes you slowly downriver and back. One of the things I like about the Creole Queen trip is that the Queen stops downriver at the site of the Battle of New Orleans in Chalmette, and you have time to get off and wander about and let some history of the area sink in from the narration by the park rangers. The whole trip is narrated by knowledgeable guides who really know the area and its history. Another thing I like is seeing New Orleans and the French Quarter from a different perspective, out on the river. As we head downriver and leave New Orleans behind, I know how sailors feel as they head for the Gulf of Mexico and the sea beyond. On the way back, the excitement of seeing the city unfold as we come around the crescent still gives me a thrill. A trip on the truly beautiful Creole Queen has to be high on your list of things to do on your visit to New Orleans. It docks at the Riverwalk.
Meanwhile, back at Jackson Square, this is Ruthie, the duck lady. She used to have 5 or 6 ducks following her around, but due to accidents, she's down to 1 now. That fur coat is Ruthie's trademark. Wears it most all year long. The ducks don't seem to mind. Either does Ruthie. She's one of the resident bag ladies, and people in the quarter kind of look after her to make sure she's okay. She's a bit strange, but she brings a smile to my face every time I see her. She's one of the French Quarter people, and I like her a lot. I like watching young lovers, too, and there are a lot of them in the French Quarter. Whoops! Remember that little girl and her father? Well, here's her cat, and I think he likes birds. This is the Jackson Brewery. It used to be the home of Jax Beer. Now it's a shopping mall. Let's take a quick peek inside and see what's going on. There are 2 buildings, each with 5 floors, and just about any kind of shop imaginable is located here. There's a cooking school showing you how to cook like a Cajun. Upstairs in the mill house is a magic man to show you how to amaze and mystify your friends. Got all kinds of things up there. There's the amazing ring trick. How does he do that? Must use mirrors. How about a gift for yourself? Maybe this boat lamp combination is for you. Or maybe a 3-masted schooner for your dining room centerpiece. Or how about this beauty? Handmade, chase your blues away. Or maybe you'd like some fudge. I like fudge. You like fudge?
Okay, everybody, join us in the front board. Everyone say, say, ah! Say, yo! And the very question of the hour, can I lick the bowl? Can I lick that bowl? Come on, musical, double, peanut butter,
Here we are on the roof of the Jackson Brewery with the roofs of the French Quarter spread out before us. And you can see there's no wasted space in the quarter. This is one of the busiest ports in the country. Just about all the grain we export leaves from New Orleans to go to the rest of the world. This fully loaded vessel is heading for the Gulf of Mexico, 110 miles downstream. One of the more pleasant ways to spend a half hour or so is to take a buggy ride around the French Quarter.
They're ready to do a buggy ride right here, everybody. Buggy ride. Come on, take a buggy. See the French Quarter in style. Buggy ride. Wow. Buggy ride, little lady. Come on, you carry the weights. Buggy ride.
La
This is the Napoleon building right here, established in 1797 for the benefit of Napoleon as a refuge, so to speak. He was in exile, but the poor fellow died before he could get back. So they brought slaves through the building, and they lived up there. Then they bring them across the street to Pierre Vespero's slave exchange. And that's also where the defenses of New Orleans took place. To your right here is the La Pharmacie Française, the oldest licensed pharmacy in the United States. And right now it's still intact. They are taking tours. And you see Oliver in there, just tell them what? Y'all do not sound like the Tabernacle Choir. I want you to know that. Now, hello there. This is Toulouse Street that we're fixing to cross here. Now, this street is named Toulouse after one of the illegitimate sons of King Louis XIV. Now, that building right there on the left there is the La Marquise building, which was responsible for the fire that burned down 80% of New Orleans. Hello there. Now, these buildings here, these are the Pontalba apartment buildings, the oldest active apartments in the United States. This building here and the one across the courtyard, built in 1849. They were built by Don Ingles Almanasta Arojas. He's buried in the church, which is the St. Louis Cathedral de Basilica, and it's sitting on this, in the middle between this building here and the other building, which is a cabildo. This side is a cabildo. This was the first building built as a municipal house, courthouse, jailhouse, prison. And it was also where the Louisiana Purchase was signed in 1803.
We'll let Beau, his tourists, and his buggy continue throughout the French Quarter, and we'll clown around a bit here at Jackson Square. Monty the Mime sees me filming, so he's got to have his fun. He's really very clever. You're liable to see just about anything at Jackson Square, including Carl Mack, the xylophone man.
I don't need that. I got and me, pushing on pedals, playing sweet harmony. When I hear rickety tick and lickety play, we snuggle closer it seems, and we kiss away our cares. Play your piano, play your rat-a-tat-tat. I wanna hear it again, those old piano roll blues.
Not far from Jackson Square on Rue St. Louis is the Herman Grimmer House, built by Samuel Herman back in 1831. 6 years after he built it, Samuel was forced to sell, and Judge Felix Grimmer bought it, and his family kept it for 77 years. There's more to the story, of course, but we'll let the knowledgeable tour guides tell it when you visit the home in person. It's an elegant home with many distinct touches, and it's one of the best examples in the Vieux Carré of American influence on New Orleans architecture. We'll just wander around this sumptuous home and then go out through the rear gallery to the magnificent courtyard and the outdoor kitchen, which, by the way, still is used in the cooler months.
There's a lot more to see here at the Herman Grimmer House. Next time you're in New Orleans, pay it a visit and enjoy. Right now, let's go shopping.
Down Decatur Street is the farmer's market, and it's coming back. I have no idea where it's been, but it's nice that it's back. The fruit and vegetables are very fresh. There's always a lot of them, and it's kind of fun to shop where the big restaurants buy their produce. There's an ongoing 7-day-a-week flea market here also, where you can buy jewelry and tourist items and JUNQUE. The flea market really comes to life on weekends. The French Quarter at night has an entirely different feeling than during the day. Remember General Jackson? Well, here he is in front of the Cathedral at night. But Jackson Square is not where the action is at night. Bourbon Street is where it's at. That's where the people are. Seems like there's always a crowd on Bourbon Street. Ripley's Believe It or Not is not as hard to believe as some of the stuff that goes on outside on Bourbon Street. Yes, you can feel the excitement. And you can go dancing. Or you could dine at a quaint little restaurant. Whatever turns you on is on Bourbon Street. There's always a crowd at Pat O'Brien's. Has been ever since it opened. I think it's the same crowd, still trying to get out. Has to be the #1 bar in the country. They serve more liquor here by mistake than most places serve on purpose. New Orleanians love a party, and everyone here has a wonderful time no matter what the occasion. And where else in the world are you going to hear When the Saints Come Marching In played on the bagpipes? Why, in the French Quarter on St. Patrick's Day. Of course. Flag up the flagpole. And now the serious celebrating begins at all the Irish bars in the quarter. Another wonderful time is had by all at another party called the French Quarter Festival. The featured attraction this year was the Miller skydiving team, and they were something. The object, of course, is for the skydivers to land as close to the yellow flag as possible. time is had at Mardigras, Louisiana's #1 reason to have a party. The second reason is sunset. The Mardigras Dragons came all the way from California, and they are featured on our full-length video visit to the Mardigras in the French Quarter, which is also available in stores throughout the quarter or from us by mail. Mardi Gras is an excuse for people like this guy to dress up any way they please. Some guys want to be girls, and on Mardi Gras they are, as you will see. Most people mask, and the fun starts early and lasts late. Mardi Gras is the last fling, so to speak, before Lent starts on Ash Wednesday, the next day. A lot of these costumes first appeared at the Mardi Gras balls held weeks in advance of the actual day, which is Fat Tuesday. They also appeared on the floats of many parades held prior to Mardi Gras Day. Throw me something, mister. A lot of beads collected at parades are thrown from balconies in the quarter on Mardi Gras Day. Oh, here's a guy who looks like he's enjoying himself.
From the madness of Mardi Gras, we go to the sereneness of the gardens of the French Quarter. Here are examples of some of the most beautiful gardens in New Orleans. They can't be seen from the street, and there's no way you can even know they were here, unless you were invited in. So, we're inviting you in, now. We have one more historic home to visit before we leave. It's on Chartres Street, opposite the Ursuline Convent. It's the Beauregard Kai's house, and it was built in 1826. In 1865, noted Confederate General Pierre Beauregard spent a year and a half in the house, and in 1944, famous author Francis Parkinson Kais rented the house and then bought it and worked at restoring it.
She wrote many of her books here, including Dinner at Antoine's and Blue Camellia, and in 1948 formed the Kai's Foundation and entrusted the house to its care. I never cared much either way for hand-painted fans until I visited the house and got a chance to look at them close up. Now I'm fascinated by them, and you'll see many of them before our visit is over. They are beautiful. Each historic home in New Orleans has its own flavor. They range from downright luxurious to very comfortable. This home really has a lived-in feeling. You almost expect to see the general practicing stances in front of a mirror, or perhaps Frances pulling weeds in the garden. And when you visit her den, it looks as if she had just left for a moment or two and will be right back. It's quite a house. And that's our visit to the New Orleans French Quarter. We hope you've enjoyed it, and on your next visit to the Crescent City, perhaps you'll make it a point to visit some of the places we've shown you. There's a lot to see and do in the city that time forgot, and you'll find New Orleanians hospitable, gracious, and fun-loving. Till we meet again, perhaps next time, in person here in New Orleans, this is your host, Jack O'Brien, saying thanks for this time. Till next time, bye-bye.